thank you everybody again for coming to Unclean Hands Explain on our Patreon channel. Here we're going to explain each episode or each chapter to you in more detail, but in a fun way. So I hope you guys like it and enjoy, and thank you again for your support.
All right, here we are at chapter 9. So we're kind of closing in toward the end here, and yeah, everything is really happening at this point. Like all the things that were set up are definitely going down now. So right away, as we ended from our last chapter, Bells was kicking in the door of the Reverend's house, and this whole episode takes place with the Reverend. Mm-hmm. And yeah, why don't you tell us a little bit about what goes down here?
Well, you know, as soon as we ended the last chapter when somebody's kicking in the door, obvious it ended up being Bells.
Yep.
But Bells came, to get what he's owed, what he's due.
Right.
He just happened to walk in with the Reverend, making love to his two young Latino lovers.
Yes, that there's a long, interesting description about how he justifies to himself what he's doing with them and how he's using them, basically.
Yeah, basically he's a pedophile. Man.
Yeah.
Let's be real. He got these girls from DR, and if you ever, especially back in the 90s, a lot of people didn't go to DR. Like, it is so famous now when everybody go there.
Yeah.
We call it the passport bros. They go see the girls. Well, back then, a lot of people really know about DR,
Right.
So, and if you really think about it, it's not a lot of money to be made there.
Yeah.
If you got 4 daughters back then, the small one went to school, the other 3 was prostituting.
Right.
So that's how the Reverend got these girls.
And he basically owns them.
Yeah, because what he was doing was still, well, we call them passport poppies or Western Union poppies. As long as you send money back to the family, they good.
Yeah.
And that's what he was doing until they got old enough that he had to send money to them. Now they're 18 and older. In America, they're women.
Right.
So he didn't have to do that anymore. And plus, these girls wasn't leaving. You're going to go back to, if you ever been to Puerto Plata, it's nice now, but went back in the 90s.
Yeah.
You don't want to go there.
Right.
It was horrible. It just had a harbor and some things by the piers, and that was it.
Yeah.
Other than that, man, he was in a slum. It's beautiful now, but yeah, so taking a girl out of that situation to somewhere in the South where the Reverend got all this money, they're not going back, and they're going to do whatever he tell them to do for they can stay. And plus, if they really need the money, he's going to send it to their family. So they were actually sex slaves.
Yeah. So he just justifies it to himself that, well, they would have been doing the same thing back home, but being paid a lot less for it. And, so I'm taking good care of them, and they're taking care of all of my freaky needs.
And most pedophiles think that way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, of course, he get his just due on this one.
Yeah. Yeah, he does. Because now, unfortunately, they are collateral damage in this, because Bells has come for the Reverend, but, he's not going to leave any witnesses, so he takes both of the young women out first.
Exactly. No witnesses. You can't. Everybody got to go. He came there for one thing only, get the money.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were collateral damage. Shit happens.
Yeah, but he certainly proves that he's serious.
Mm-hmm. He killed one of the girls right off the bat.
Yeah.
Let them know, hey, I'm coming for the money. And you have to do that. If you want to let somebody know you're serious, you got to shoot somebody.
Yeah, and, someone like the Reverend, he talks a good game, but he's not a brave man, and he quickly comes apart here.
And you see how the Reverend, in the beginning, you thought he was a good, righteous person.
Yeah.
He's there for the kids. You remember the sermon? He gave such a great sermon.
He really did.
He didn't give 2 damns about that kid.
No. And
you know what I mean? But he could put on the show, but like he said, he was forced to do that. Because, he's like he tried to, when he's pleading for his life. Well, you think I want to be a Reverend? Mark told me to do this. Everything's on Mark. Everything's on Mark. The grandfather, Thomas' grandfather. It was never his fault. And most people who in denial like that, or narcissism and all that, it's never their fault.
Yeah.
It's never their fault.
And they will sell someone down the river to save their own ass.
He's in the end, he started praying.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Anything to save his ass.
Yeah.
He was doing it. Take the girls. He offered the girls.
Yeah. Before they were shot, he offers
take
them up.
Go ahead, take them. Just leave my money so I can leave. Because he knew how dangerous Mark was, and he's going to take money to get out of there. But still, he offered the girls. This guy cared about no one but himself. but he's supposed to be a preacher.
Well, and that's where a lot comes out too. Like you said, Mark is pulling on a lot of strings here. Mark Williams is pulling, because we talked about this way back several episodes ago, that it seems like there was some stuff that went down in the past that he was involved in, but I didn't get the impression that he had as much power and control, except maybe a little bit with when Bells was saying like, "Hey, did you intentionally try to get me more years in prison?" But now it sounds like there was a lot more going on.
Well, as you see in the next couple of chapters, only 2 left, but you'll see what's really the power behind Mark. Because in the end, it's all about self-preservation.
Yeah.
And Mark is the only game in town. So what are you going to do? You come here or not? And like I said, it was a perfect situation to sell drugs, to move the drugs, to distribute it.
Right.
Funeral home.
And sounds like they took care of the competition at one point.
Yeah, like they said in the very second chapter, when Jamal Blue and Dee Dee Blue said they had no choice but to go to them. Because they wish, and people didn't catch this, we wish the Johnson Funeral Home was still here, but it ain't here no more.
Right.
And he explained why the funeral home's not there no more.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
got
saying?
rid
They
of
did
it.
something for Mr. Williams, got rid of it. It was Bells and it was the Reverend.
Yes.
But Bells ended up going to jail for it, not the Reverend. The Reverend became Mark's, middleman, go-to guy. So that's what happened with that. But, it's more details going to come on. Next chapter going to explain pretty much everything.
And he's got some more people working for him, Mark does, as we'll get to in a second here. But I do want to mention that it shows just how angry Bells is, that he doesn't just put the Reverend out of his misery. He shoots him in the stomach and in the back because he wants him to suffer.
Yeah.
He wants him to feel like, I suffered in prison and you are going to suffer too. I want you to feel this. And, you put in some very particular details about like the blood on his teeth and things like that, that he is feeling this pain, and that's what Bells wants.
Of course, because, it's only retribution. It's revenge. All the time you left me in there. And then the thing is, again, even though the Reverend was shot, stomach, back, blood coming on his teeth, you see these pink stings, still begging for his life. Still willing to cut a deal.
Yep.
You know what I mean? To the end, and Bells wasn't going to hear it because he know that's his M.O.
Yes.
He'll try to talk his way out of anything. You can't talk your way out of this one.
Nope.
He should know he was going to die. He killed the other 2 girls. You got to go.
Yeah.
And he threw him in his brand new truck, the trunk of his brand new car.
Well, and that's where the other accomplices with Mark come in, is that, again, we're starting to see how powerful and connected he is. And we knew that he had police officers who worked for him on their off-duty time at the funeral home, but they're calling him right away saying, hey, the Reverend's dead. This is bad for us. And so, again, obviously there's more going on here, but he has eyes and ears everywhere, it looks like.
Yeah, it's no way you can run a drug organization now without having cops on the payroll.
Yeah.
It's just no way.
Right.
Like I said, the cops know who doing what and when.
Right.
As long as you keep the violence down, don't go back to them, pay them off, everything's good. It's going to always be like that. So, yeah, of course he had, and when they saw the Reverend dead, who was his go-to guy, who made sure everything was cleaned up, because remember, if all the drugs went through the church, the profits, you can't pay taxes, it cleans everything up. Right. That's why he donated everything to these youth parks and youth games and all that. Him and the Reverend was always together. You clean up your money.
Yep, because as you and I were talking about earlier, if you make all this money,
you got to clean it.
Exactly. And if you can't, you just are shoving it into closets and storage spaces.
Yeah, rats
but what
eating
good,
it, yeah.
Exactly. What good does that really
I
do?
literally seen that years ago. You can make a lot of money doing it, but how you going to clean it? And that's the problem, the issue. And by using the church, it's perfect.
It really is.
It really is perfect. And you see, I thought this through before I wrote this.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it really makes you question everyone's motivations, not only in this story, but looking around at everyone going, oh, what are you really doing?
Yeah, man. I mean, I picked a lot of this from my past, and you see I had a colorful past.
Mm-hmm.
But, all due to God, everything worked out great for I.
Well, hey, I'm glad you're getting to put all this into these stories because this is exciting stuff. And I'm looking forward to the next to last episode, 10, coming up next week.
Yes, sir. And thank you again for always co-hosting with me. And to our Patreon supporters, thank you again. And we're going to always give you guys the content before anyone else. Hope you guys like it. Keep subscribing. Keep donating. We love you guys. And remember, we consider you family. Thank you.